We're back. Two Dads in the Lab, trying to be 2% better. Dye Manuel is off today, taking some time for himself. We are on the eve of North America Father's Day weekend. Father's Day goes in September in the Southern Hemisphere, home of the Southern Cross, and our guest, Michael Ray. We're talking being a single dad. If you missed the first episode, the one that ran before this one, Michael became a single parent, 9 months old, and we started that discussion of what that was like. And whether it was judgment, whether it was no judgment. And one of the things that I took from that, Michael, was the gratitude you had along the way. And this idea that you didn't know what you didn't know, and you were okay with it. You knew that as not a mother or not a female, that there was frankly less judgment on you, which in many ways gave you the permission to ask everything you wanted to ask.
Yeah, 100%, Keith. But then there's also the other side is people had genuine concerns.
Of course.
For my daughter. And one of the funny things is I have a lot of mum friends and go, oh, you get all this attention for just doing what women have done and for millennia, television and media and all the rest of it. And you get praise for just doing the stuff. And try and point out, Keith, the reason that praise comes is because I'm not Homer Simpson. So it's, you're kidding. You can actually parent and raise a child. That's amazing. I haven't cured cancer here. I've managed to do a French braid. And the only reason I could do that French braid is because I went and had lessons because it was important to my daughter. So if I step into a new role and the boss says to me, I need you to do an Excel spreadsheet and I don't know how to do it, well, I'm going to learn to do it because I need that skill set. And it's the same with all of the stuff that French braids, cake baking, all of those things. My daughter and I have learned it together. And we have this thing, my daughter and I, we either say they can stick that, or when they say something that might be sexist or that, or you've got to have a dip. When can't do it, oh, got to have a dip, let's give it a go. And that's how we raise it. Failure doesn't matter, Keith. It's just that stepping stone.
That's it. I can only imagine not only what you've learned from your daughter. I can only imagine what you've taught your daughter, but I can only imagine what you've learned from your daughter. And what I mean from that is we're the same age, you and I. Society was 10 years different than it was. It's just generations come, and your daughter's growing up in a very different generation, and she's teaching you things that I'm sure you weren't taught and so forth. Talk about how illuminating that has been for you as she has grown up and has made you younger.
Oh, okay. I'm 62, by the way. So
I thought you were 52.
62.
Oh, dude. Well, Nation, look at this guy, man. I didn't even realize he was that old. Holy.
Yeah. But Katie, that stuff she's taught me
I bet
more about myself than anything in life. Fatherhood, I used to look at fatherhood and think like it was a bit limiting. I'd look at my dad and the stuff he'd do, and I had the best dad in the world. And I'd think, gee, fatherhood's going to stop me surfing and stop me this, stop me that. Or do I want to as a young man? So I didn't become a dad till I was 50. Lived what would only be described as a colourful life of doing security and bodyguard for every rock star that came through Melbourne, everyone from Bon Jovi through to Whitney Houston, traveling with them. I was the big guy keeping all the girls back. And I found fatherhood has given me the freedom to cast off that ego and facade, go, you know what? That stuff that I thought mattered, that stuff that impressed other people, didn't really impress me, but I was impressed by impressing other people. And so I was in service of other people's validation.
Yes.
Now, the only thing that matters to me is enjoying the moment with my daughter, being the example for my daughter, helping her figure it out. Some people like to sit down and do crosswords or Sudoku or all of those things. I like to try and figure out solutions with my daughter when she comes with a problem. And it's not about, dads, if there was one bit of advice that I would give, is stop giving advice. We don't have to have a solution, but what we do have to do is ask the right questions.
Th-
So
th-
it's about the questions we ask, not the advice we give that will empower our children, because the quality of their life will be determined by the quality of the questions they ask. And let them question everything. I know it can kill you a million questions a day, especially with a little girl. And sometimes we blokes are a bit silent, but let them ask those questions and answer the questions with another question. Dad, how do I do this? How do you think? If I do this, and that's good, what do you think will happen? Give it a try. Because I don't want it to be dependent on anyone else or peer pressure or trying to impress anyone else. I wanted to find her own path. And I think that's what we do as dads, that we turn them around and push them out into the world, whereas mothers turn them around and bring them in. We worry about the impact our children will have on the world, whereas mums may worry about the impact the world will have on their children.
Interesting. Whereas you can offer a blend of both, perhaps,
Mm, yeah.
along with the experience you've had in life.
Yeah, unless you're a surgeon, this whole life and death decision, a decision's not right or wrong until you make it. Make the decision, then do the work to make it a good one. When we hesitate to make that decision, that's the decision you've made to fail to do something. So go, right, this is the decision I've made, and now I'll do the work to ensure that decision is a good one.
That's a great leadership lesson right there. Many people are so afraid to make a decision that often one is not made.
Yeah.
Yet, to your point, rarely is there a right or a wrong one. You just have to pick one and stick with it.
Yeah. Or don't be scared to go. It's the goal, not the path towards that goal, that's important.
Yes.
You know, and I think, especially in today's society, we've got all these calendars and scheduling and long-term goals and short-term goals and all the rest of it. And I think that adds to a lot of anxiety, because I thought I would be here and have done this and
Mm,
achieved that and ticked all this. And then when you stop hitting those targets or goals, suddenly
milestones. Yeah.
it becomes stressful, where I'm going to meander a bit. Some of the best discoveries we've made have just been meandering through things, or we'll do a road trip and we'll see a sign that says something. Let's go. Oh, but we won't be able to do this. Well, we're here now. We won't be here again. Let's enjoy it.
Yes. What are some of the challenges you have or perhaps not so much today, but what were some of the obvious challenges or perhaps not so obvious challenges that you had
Um,
raising?
Keith, one of the biggest ones, I was banned from assisting my daughter backstage at a 4-year-old ballet concert because I was a bloke.
Mhm.
We've been in the heady world of 3-year-old performing arts excellent, that is ballet class. Had the
Right.
concert, everything was fine. 4-year-old, we get the information for the end of year concert. There's a special mummy and me ticket offer. There's mothers are expected to ensure the daughter's hair is done this way. Mothers need to ensure that they're available, that they're present for the full 3-hour dress rehearse. Mothers need to ensure that the lipstick, and right at the bottom, and there are no males allowed in the backstage area. So we have the meeting, and I'm used to replacing mum for dad in everything. When Charlie's mum first wasn't on the scene, you'd be reading stories. And there's an interesting study that says out of the 160 most popular children's books, fathers are less present, less important, more stern, all these things. So you'll be reading, and I'm no Dr. Zeus. I muck up some of the rhymes. It's pretty hard to get mum to rhyme with dad, but we get through it. And then while I have to be here, I'm her only parent. And then it was, no, sorry, Michael, you can't. If you bring her to the backstage door, we can look after her. And I said, that would be fine if you're looking after everyone's child, but I cannot. I just cannot have my daughter sitting here and looking around the backstage area with her nerves or excitement and go, with a parent, with a parent, with a parent, with a parent. And here I am on my own through no fault of her own, just because our situation, our family structure was a little bit different to what you had expected. So luckily, my mum tried to have my back, and they threatened to boycott if we weren't allowed, because I've sat in the ballet hall for 2 years now with these amazing women. And luckily, one of the women knew a journalist, and she contacted the journalist, and within 2 days, it was national news and international. Like it just, and
Yes.
that they overturned the ban. But there are a lot of things like that. Change tables we don't have in men's toilets
Mhm.
here in Australia, so we actually went and retrofitted syringe disposals in every male toilet and not change tables. So the inference is that men are more likely to be drug users or diabetics than actually change a nappy. There are lots of places where there aren't parents' rooms. We've been abused for using parents' rooms because someone was breastfeeding in there. I had this child so that I can have the opportunity to get in the parents' room and watch someone breastfeeding. Really? Like you get that? Why are you in here?
That's
Just
just
yeah.
unbelievable.
Workplaces, Keith. If I had $1 for every time somebody had asked me, "Can't your wife do it?" Flexible working. We separate breadwinning from caregiving when it comes to men,
Mhm.
and we combine it when it comes to women. So here in Australia, our Workplace Gender Equality Agency notes that now 70% of workplaces have a formal policy for flexible working in place. Less than 2% have set targets for men's engagement in it. Men are seen as breadwinners. That separation of breadwinning from caregiving, that allows workplaces to be willfully blind to our parental responsibilities, but it also promotes men as the ideal workers,
Mhm.
and it,
Mhm.
it damages not only the relationship between fathers and their children, but also between mothers and employers. So it's not that we men are extra talented or extra smart or
Mhm.
extra.
Mhm.
It's just that employers look at us and go, he won't have caring. If his kids get sick, he'll be at work working harder. We'll give him a little bit more money, more opportunity to be able to provide for his family. Mum will just, she'll be in and out, school calls, she'll be gone. So all of these things play into it, Keith, and it's death by a thousand cuts. Next time you're at the supermarket, have a look at the packaging on products. Charlie noticed, as my daughter noticed at 8 years old, one day we're just in the supermarket. She said, Dad, why are there no boys on any of the packets? I don't know. So we walked the aisles, 28 products with a person on them. Out of 28 products, only 3 had men. Everything from laundry powder to dishwashing liquid to baby
Mm.
products to baking products.
Yeah,
So
because
at
they're
8, my daughter's being told domestic duties, women, men, leave them out.
wow. Yeah, those subtle inferences, right? Walking through the shopping center and the grocery store. And because if the inference is that the mom's in the store grocery shopping, then the mom's going to relate to the mom on the package.
Yeah. But you would think, gee, if I was a mum and I'm sick of doing all the housework, here's one with a dad. I'm going to take it home and leave it strategically
Yeah,
positioned
no
and
kidding.
say, yeah,
Michael, talk about dating. Talk about trying to add that to your life as a single dad. And to the gentlemen listening right now that are considering the idea of dating again, single daughter, those emotions and feelings of okay, I need to go take care of myself now, my some of my emotional needs. I can't just keep giving. Let's talk about this for a few moments before we wrap up our discussion with Michael Ray and Keith Bilous, your two dads in the lab. I feel like you got to come back. We got to talk Bon Jovi, Whitney Houston. We got to talk pre-50, man. We got to talk. Maybe you got to come on the other show. My morning show might work out well for you too, because it happens in no, it's actually be 1 a.m. because it was a few hours ago. But regardless, I want to hear about dating. I want to hear about that and when you started to explore it. Because again, there's guys listening going, tell me something, Michael. Tell me, give me something to hang on to, that there's hope for me as a young man, single dad, old man, single dad, and I want to go on a date.
Keith, for the first 5 years, I'd made a conscious decision to stay single. And at that stage, I'd waited my whole life for this kid. And then when I got her, and then the divorce, it was an acrimonious divorce. And I was sick at the time, found out 2 weeks after we separated that I had an undiagnosed condition where my future wasn't guaranteed. So it was a dark time, Keith. Suddenly it was finally get this kid, now I don't get to see her, and now she may not even remember me going up. My future wasn't guaranteed. Some lumps and bumps that needed some good treatment. So it was just that anything for another moment with my child, anything to be more involved. And then when I got the opportunity, it was, wow, I don't want to miss a minute of it. So I didn't feel the need to date. And in fact, everyone said, oh, how do you manage as a single dad with a kid and work? And I actually found that easier than having to consider someone else's well-being within that relationship, to be a considerate partner. It was great. I'd get home from work, pick my daughter up from my mum's place, who would give me a bit of a hand, and it would be Friday night with our usual fun dinner, and then it'd be in bed watching David Attenborough, and then Saturday it'd be another great. So it was just, I wanted to enjoy every minute, because we also didn't know if a mum was going to re-enter her life. So it was just, I want to make time with it. But then when I met my amazing wife now, it originally started with, gee, this girl's a lawyer, a psychiatrist. She's got all of these qualifications. She holds all of these world records. It was, this would be a great girl to have in my tribe for great examples for my daughter. But then when I learned that my now wife had lost her daughter in a car accident at 4 years old, the two of them together were just, and I thought, how good is this? And it just developed. I couldn't miss this opportunity, Keith. But in the beginning, it's not like, even with my head, I had so many women interested, but it was more about my daughter. It was like I was a bloke at the beach with a cute puppy and a skateboard, and everyone's, oh, and I didn't want some people coming in and out of my daughter's life.
Mm.
So if there was dating going on, it was well away from my daughter, and no one got introduced. But it doesn't do your self-esteem a lot of good to think that this woman is interested in me, but she's interested in me because of my
The
father type
situation.
thing. It's not like I'm Brad Pitt or Robert Redford or anyone else. It's this sort of thing. I wouldn't feel right using that to my advantage.
Yeah. Michael Ray, I've known you for 40 some odd minutes now. And based upon what I've known from you so far, I'm a fan, dude. You got to come back. I want to hear more about being a dad. I want to have you back on, perhaps even on the morning show, and just talk about life down under and talk about maybe the first 50 years of life. You're a pretty jacked dude, too. You're sitting here going, yeah, I'm not Brad Pitt and shit. Listen, oops, sorry, Dad. Boy, I'm not supposed to swear on my two dads show, even though I do swear every now and then. Listen, you're 50 years old at the time. You got a young child. You're somewhat jacked. You're like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna be jacked for my little girl and let the world just watch me.
Yeah.
Dude,
Um,
final
it,
words to you, my friend. Final words to you today before we say goodbye. What would you like to leave Business Athlete Nation, Two Dads in a Lab, to 2% Nation? What would you like to leave some final words of wisdom from down under from our friend Michael Wright today?
Keithy, my dad, the smartest man I ever knew, didn't get to high school, but he had a turn of phrase where he would say to me, mate, you're worrying about the weeds in someone else's garden. And that would apply to if you're worrying about other people are thinking. And he'd say, rather than trying to figure out why the weeds are grown in their garden, spend a bit of time trying to figure out why you even care. So once you do that, he said, spend the same amount of emotional energy and bandwidth figuring out why what they think is important to you, because that's where your power lies. And once you go, you know what? I am a bit insecure. I am a bit awkward. I am a bit lacking there. So when I feel these feelings, when I feel there's judgment, that's on me. That's not on those that judge and stigmatizes. It's me for my work to do. I'm not going to help them become less judgy, less stigmatizing, less narrow minded. Let them go and worry about, I've got to stop letting this affect me. And that's where I'll do the work on myself. I'll weed my own gardens, not theirs.
Oh man, that is such great advice. And you know what? I want to hang on this for a moment, because whether you're a young man, I want to speak to my male audience right now. Whether you're a young man who's not a father yet, whether you're a young man who is a father, I always think about my 30-year-old friends, and I got plenty of them. that I wish I could just drill the advice you just gave into their head or what I've learned at 52. Cause I'm like, dude, the things you're stressing about right now don't even matter. Like, just stop. If I can teach you to really focus on what matters, because in 20 years from now, you're going to say, Keith, you were right. Cause we all do. Every 30-year-old that goes to 50, we experience the same thing, gentlemen. Just like when we go from 50 to 60, we pee slower at night. Middle of the night, you pee a lot more. It takes a lot longer. It's just how life works. So I'm telling you guys, if you're stressed out about things that you have no control over, hear what Michael said. Ask yourself why it's stressing you out to start with. Because trust me, when you hit 50, you're going to go, why the hell is that bothering me? Hey, it's so true.
Yeah. And the stuff that bothers you, that worries you, figure out why it bothers you.
Yes.
There's stories. We all tell ourselves stories. Stuff happens, good stuff, bad stuff,
Yes.
but we give meaning to it. We
Yes.
rank it on importance. It's what we focus on. It's when you notice that rattle in the car and
Yes.
it drives you mad because you keep focusing on the rattle, turn the music up and ignore it.
Yes. 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 And I appreciate your comments right now because you said something a while 20 maybe just into the second episode here, and I was going to refer to it but I left it alone. I, there's still too many people of our generation talking down to the young generation or the young kids, or no, they're humans like you and I just have some wisdom on you, and I'm just trying to teach my wisdom because the next 20 years are going to happen to you anyways, 32-year-old. So I'm just telling you what's going to happen. Just take some of it. I'm not trying to talk down to you. I'm just offering you up what I know has happened to me. And if you can grab some of that and hold on to some of it and learn from it, trust me, you're going to have a fun ride.
Yeah, Keithy, if we learn from our mistakes, I'm going to keep making them because I'll eventually end up the smartest bloke in the world. And if I can, if somebody can look at me and go, hey, I've seen his mistakes and I've seen his learnings from it, I'm not going to step in that same hole that he did. More power to them. But everyone's different. If we grew up with the same situation, circumstances, belief structures, we'd be the same person. We'd have the same
Yes.
opinions. So I'm not going to change someone else's, and I can accept everyone being different, having their own, because they're a result of life. It's all of these different colors have been squirted in, and what comes out at the end are the result of those colors that life has put into them. Let them be the color they are, and it doesn't impact us one bit. We talk about freedom of religion, more power to you, but that also means freedom from religion. So that's for you, and more power to you. It's not for me, and that doesn't mean that there's not a million other things that we can't agree and collaborate on, and just basic human things: compassion, empathy, respect, integrity. They all mean slightly different things to different people, but they're a human trait. I hear all the time, oh, you're such a caring, nurturing, it's such a feminine trait. No, bullshit, it's human.
Oh my
It's
goodness. I love you said that because it's called curiosity and it's called being a human.
yeah,
And
that's
that's
it.
what I'm trying to do here in the lab. I know you've paid some attention to the shows and the content we create. That's the coffee we're drinking, Michael.
Yeah.
We don't have to agree on everything. I don't expect that we will and we would. But I want to be curious about your point of view on why you might disagree with me. And I want
Yeah.
to learn from you. I want you to teach me. I want to hear about it. And then I'll decide whether I want to come over to your side. If not, you're a human. You have a heart. You have fears. You have insecurities like I do. We all do. So I'm going to think about all those and I'm not going to have any judgment. I'm going to go to the next question and we're going to have a wonderful conversation. That's what I'm trying to do here in the lab.
Keith, another one of my dad's brilliant ones. He said, instead of listening to people and trying to figure out why they're wrong, listen to them and try and figure out why they believe they're right,
Yeah.
because then you'll understand them. So if you go, oh, I can see why you think that because of this and this. Now I understand you. Now I accept you. Now, yep, that's great. We too much time looking to be combative, especially social media stuff now, where it's, I like oranges. Why don't you like apples? I like orange, but apples are rather than yours. Yes, it's great. Yeah, I can see. Yeah,
True.
you know,
It's true.
but I like oranges because I don't have any teeth. Oh, so apples are hard to eat. Yeah, well, now I see why you like oranges and you don't get that. And just try and understand each other rather than trying to one up each other.
And that's what we're trying to do here in the lab, Michael Ray. Two dads in the lab trying to be 2% better. Going to wrap up our conversation. We're just trying to do better. We're just trying to do better. We're trying to understand each other and ask the right questions and always be curious. Michael, we're going to say goodbye. I'm going to ask you to hang out in the blue room for a second. I'm going to say goodbye to Nation, and I'm going to come back and walk you out. But before we do that, I got to have some fun. So my good co-host, C. Marty Fit, in the mornings, and I have this news podcast, and it's AI generated version me, Keith. So I think the way you say my name, Keith, it's like my AI version. So I need you to say my name so I can tease C. Marty Fit with my little recording, because I'm going to create a soundbite of Keith, and I'm going to create a soundboard of Michael Ray saying
Keith.
Exactly. There you go. Two dads. I'm going to have you back. I'm going to put you up in the green room for a quick second and come back and walk you out. Okay, buddy?
Thanks, Keith. Love
Take care. 1 second. All right, there he is. Michael Ray, two dads in a lab, trying to be 2% better. I'm going to put some tunes back on here, walk us out of the lab, doing things a little differently without Dye Manuel here today. We got some music, we got some humor. I do it all love and Dye. That's why. Showing some love out to my good buddy out there on the West Coast. Take care, pal. I know you are. There's nothing wrong with the guy. He's busy doing his stuff this weekend, and the calendar was busy. So I said, hey, I got this. I'm going to hang out with Michael. I know I'm frozen, which is all right. I'm going to get out of here, and you guys listening in, we'll see you guys on Monday mornings in the lab. Man, I'm just frozen in a great position right now. We'll see you guys tomorrow. No, we'll see you Monday.